The most powerful version yet of Europe's Ariane 6 rocket blasted off from French Guiana with 32 satellites for Amazon LEO's broadband constellation. Hungary's opposition leader Peter Magyar has accused Prime Minister Viktor Orban's ruling Fidesz party of preparing a blackmail campaign against him. Police in Norway searched properties belonging to former Prime Minister Torbjørn Jagland as part of a probe into links with Jeffrey Epstein.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
The most powerful version yet of Europe's Ariane 6 rocket blasted off from French Guiana on Thursday, carrying with it 32 satellites for Amazon LEO's broadband constellation. The Ariane 6-4, named after its 4 boosters, made its maiden launch from the European spaceport in Kourou. The Ariane 6 program is backed by 13 nations, all members of the European Space Agency. The flagship of Europe's rocket industry is competing in a highly competitive global market against heavyweight players, including Elon Musk's market leader SpaceX. U.S. firm Amazon, founded by billionaire Jeff Bezos, is the main commercial partner for the Ariane 6, despite the latter being touted as a symbol of European sovereignty in the sector.
With these 32 satellites, Amazon will have a total of 200 in the sky, and it aims at having over 3,000 in the next few years. So this is only the first out of 18 launches planned with Amazon for Ariane 6. This heavy-lift rocket has been designed to replace Ariane 5 and restore Europe's independent access to space after several years of delays and a launch gap that has left the continent reliant on foreign providers.
Hungary's opposition leader Peter Magyar has accused Prime Minister Viktor Orban's ruling Fidesz party of preparing a blackmail campaign against him. It reportedly involves a secretly recorded sex tape made with surveillance equipment that Magyar suspects the governing party plans to release. He said journalists received a photo of a bedroom with a message "coming soon," suggesting a video release is imminent. Fidesz representatives denied involvement in distributing the photo. Under Hungarian law, releasing sexually explicit images without consent is a criminal offense. The allegations come as tensions grow in the campaign ahead of an April parliamentary election, which has already seen activists attacked and candidates targeted with deepfake videos. Magyar's Tisza party is currently ahead of Orban's Fidesz in recent polls. Magyar launched Tisza following a government-linked child abuse scandal that forced 2 senior officials to resign. The scandal eroded public trust in Orban's administration and created an opening Magyar exploited to build his party rapidly, creating the strongest challenge to Fidesz in years. Police in Norway searched properties belonging to former Prime Minister Torbjørn Jagland on Thursday, following the launch of a corruption probe over his dealings with convicted U.S. sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Jagland is being investigated after documents the U.S. Justice Department released in January suggested he and his family stayed or vacationed with Epstein between 2011 and 2018, when he was chairing the Nobel Committee. On Wednesday, the Council of Europe, where he served as Secretary General for 10 years until 2019, said it was honoring a request from Norwegian authorities to waive Jagland's immunity from legal processes that he had previously enjoyed. Jagland was a controversial figure when he headed the Council of Europe and was repeatedly accused by both Norwegian and international media of being too servile towards the Kremlin. He was not the only influential Norwegian figure mentioned in the latest batch of released Epstein documents. The files showed that Crown Princess Mette-Marit borrowed an Epstein-owned property in Palm Beach for several days in 2013, as well as other correspondence.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi came under fire at a congressional hearing over the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files. Bondi also declined to face Epstein survivors seated behind her when asked to apologize for the department's failure to redact victims' names.
You apologize to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information.
Congresswoman, you sat before, Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice.
Attorney General Bondi.
No, can I finish my answer?
At one point during the hearing, Bondi launched into a passionate defense of President Donald Trump. She accused Democrats of using the Epstein files to distract from his success, even though Bondi herself distributed binders with information on the files to social media influencers last year.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
An additional 3 million pages remain unreleased, and survivors are now urging the Department of Justice to make them public.
Returning from a trip to Kyiv, a French Minister of the Armed Forces, Catherine Vautrin, praised Ukraine's resilience. Nearly 4 years after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and in light of Russian strikes that are weakening Ukraine's energy system in the middle of winter, the minister questions Russia's sincerity in reaching a peace agreement.
Dans le train du retour à Lviv, il y avait là aussi encore des alertes. Donc c'est une réalité de tous les jours. Et donc on se dit, est-ce que réellement les Russes ont envie d'aller vers la paix quand on voit cette situation? Pour autant, je souligne évidemment tous les efforts qui sont conduits par les États-Unis avec l'Ukraine pour parler avec les Russes.
Europeans must have a seat at the negotiating table for peace in Ukraine because they will be there on the day hostilities cease to guarantee security, the minister insisted. She said that for now, the supply of drone interceptors and missiles is the Ukrainians' priority.
Le sujet, c'est vraiment le combat dans le ciel. Et c'est la première chose que m'a demandé le président Zelensky, c'était d'être le relais du besoin de missiles.
At a NATO meeting in Brussels on Thursday, the Pentagon called on Europeans to take charge of their own defense without calling into question U.S. support. The minister assured us that the European Union has received the message.
Ukrainian skeleton racer Vladislav Heraskevich has been disqualified before his first run at the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics, the International Olympic Committee IOC announced on Thursday. The IOC banned Heraskevich from using his custom-made helmet, which features portraits of Ukrainian athletes killed in Russia's full-scale invasion since early 2022. The helmet does not display any slogans or political symbols.
With regret, we took this decision, but it followed his multiple refusals to comply with the IOC guidelines on athlete expression. Despite multiple exchanges and in-person meetings with the IOC and Mr. Karasevich, the last one just this morning at 7:30, with the IOC President Kirsty Coventry, who was in Cortina to meet him, he would not consider the many compromises that we offered him.
Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha slammed the IOC's decision, calling it an act of shame. 2 more Ukrainian Olympians have had their helmets barred from the Winter Games on the grounds of politicization. Manchester United co-owner Jim Ratcliffe apologized on Thursday following comments he made that Britain had been colonized by immigrants. Ratcliffe's apology comes after his remarks triggered a backlash with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, slamming them as offensive and wrong. According to a statement conveying his apology, Ratcliffe said he was sorry that his choice of language has offended some people in the UK and Europe and caused concern. But he maintained it was important to raise the issue of controlled and well-managed immigration that supports economic growth. The billionaire gave his initial controversial comments to Sky News on Wednesday at the European Industry Summit in Antwerp. He claimed the UK population had grown from 58 million in 2020 to 70 million, figures that the UK Office for National Statistics has disputed. According to the UK Stats Office, the estimated population was 67 million in mid-2020 and 70 million in mid-2024. Downing Street condemned Ratcliffe's remarks, describing them as playing into, quote, the hands of those who want to divide our country, end of quote.
The EU is stuck between federalizing and disbanding, former Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis told Euronews flagship program Europe Today. The economist blamed weak fiscal and investment pillars for Europe disintegration.
We have federal money, and this is our tragedy. We have a great central bank, a monolith of a central bank, and we have 20 treasuries that can't really rely on it.
When EU leaders discuss Eurobonds, they failed to talk about who would issue the debt, he added.
It was a mistake to create federal money without a federation. The result has been the spectacular drop in investment, the stagnation, which is causing the lack of competitiveness. So we have two choices. We are at a fork on the road. We can move in the direction of federation, or we can disband the euro.
Varoufakis' comments came as EU leaders gathered in the Belgian countryside for an informal summit on competitiveness, with Eurobonds emerging as a central point of contention. French President Emmanuel Macron called for, quote, future-oriented Eurobonds to invest in the ecological transition and AI, insisting that global markets were seeking alternatives to the US dollar.